Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have shared a lot with you all about my breastfeeding and formula journey with both of my kiddos, and you have all chatted with me about your journeys as well. Asked me a lot of questions, and I try to always give tips and advice and information, even though I'm not an expert by any means, and I have definitely had my ups and downs in this area because it's a challenging topic, and I think for moms, we are all just trying our best. So in today's video, we're gonna be chatting all about formula, specifically comparing Bobbie brand to Similac. We are really taking a deep dive here, like talking about a lot of information. So if you're into that, then sit tight, grab a coffee, a tea, because it's gonna get really chatty. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. This video is actually sponsored by Bobbie. They sent me formula back when Aria was ready to start. That must have been this year, back in May. So being that Bobbie is a newer formula, it came out in January of 2021 here in the States. I think it is helpful to compare it to Similac, which has been around for a lot longer, since the 1920s, and they have a major reputation in the formula market. In research for this video, I have learned a lot about baby formula, ingredients, regulations. So I'm not here to make anyone feel bad for the formula that they're choosing. I, in fact, have tried probably 5 different formulas, and I've liked them all for different reasons. But I am here to educate and share some of the information I've gathered after having 2 babies and just learning a lot along the way. And this is obviously not meant to replace your own discussion with your pediatrician about formula. Also, let's be kind in the comments. As I said, we're all moms, just trying our best to figure out what is going to work for our babies and our families, but people formula feed for different reasons. Okay, so I want to start off by sharing more about my own personal journey with both babies. I really tried within like their first or second week of life to get them used to a bottle with breast milk in it, just so that I have the freedom of allowing somebody else to feed the baby so that I can have a little break, or if I'm not around. That was just my own personal decision. Not everybody has to do this. My babies took the bottle pretty well, but I know that that could be really challenging for some babies. So with any frozen breast milk that I was accumulating, we would use the Kindy bottle system, which I absolutely love, and it has like a very specific container and nipple attachment, and it worked so well with both Jace and Aria. They just had no trouble at all. With Aria, around 6 months, I ran out of my freezer stash that I had built up, and so I decided to start supplementing with formula a little bit here and there. Since she was still pretty early on in her life, I am pretty picky and was looking for an organic formula at the time. I ended up using Earth's Best organic formula, but because I wasn't using the frozen breast milk packets anymore, I couldn't use that Kindy bottle anymore that worked so well. Is it Kindy or Kind? I'm not even sure. K-I-I-N-D-E, by the way. But I ended up switching the bottle, and she seemed to just not take another type of bottle as well. She would drink a little bit of the formula, like we would get through it, but it was kind of a struggle to get through the bottle. She did this thing where she would just keep turning her head away. So then I tried another brand of bottle. I tried different nipple sizes, different nipple flows, but we kind of were running into the same thing. So I turned to Instagram to y'all to see if anyone had any recommendations, and then my cousin was like, well, maybe it isn't the bottle or the nipple, maybe it's actually the formula. I had the same problem with my baby. She struggled with different formulas, so we ended up trying out Bobbie. That was the first time I had ever heard of it, so I reached out to Bobbie, and they ended up sending me a can to try out with Aria. So I am still breastfeeding. However, I don't have any more frozen milk left in my freezer. We've used them all, and I don't pump really to collect additional bottles to freeze. I only do my Haka every morning, which collects just a little bit kind of so that I'm able to have like an extra bottle on hand if needed in the house. So in addition to that, I thought it'd be really good to have some formula around here. Plus my evening feeding, I don't feel like she's getting enough milk from me. She's still a little bit fussy afterwards, so I do want to supplement my last feeding of the day for her with a little bit of like maybe like 4-ounce bottle of formula. So I was trying to supplement with this one, which is the Earth's Best organic infant formula. Jace used to take this one and he loved it. We had no issues with him at all, but she does not seem to love it.
So I'm still sort of trying it to see if I can get her to like it, because we still have this entire thing left. Otherwise I'm gonna have to give it away to someone. But that's why I thought we'll try the Bobbie one as well, because a lot of you messaged me about this. My cousin's trying it. I'll keep you guys posted on how she takes this. So we'll try it tonight for a bottle when she goes down.
And she actually took it really well. It typically takes about 5 to 7 days for baby to adjust to a new formula, but we had a really good experience with it, and I saw a difference with her formula intake. At this time, that's when the formula shortage started, and so Bobbie was not accepting new customers anymore. At this point, I was still breastfeeding, so I wasn't totally desperate for formula. Like, this is when I ended up doing my video of trying to increase my breast milk supply. So I did build a little bit of a freezer stash, but I always look back and remember that good experience that Aria had with the Bobbie formula. When it came to the formula shortage, it was hard to be as picky as I normally would be because I couldn't get my hands on the formula I wanted. So I actually asked you guys over on Instagram, what do you look for when it comes to baby formula? And most of the replies said the following: organic, clean ingredients, modeled after breast milk, easy on tummy, and availability, like you can actually get your hands on it. So these are all the same things that I've learned over time to look for as well. So I think most of us are on the same page. So the brand we have all heard of through the ages is Similac. It's been around for so long, and it actually used to be one of the few choices that we had for buying formula in the US. Like if you talk to your parents, that's probably what they gave you if they gave you formula. European brands were illegal here in the States, so we weren't left with too many choices when it came to formula until recently, when new brands like Bobbie came on the market with the FDA green light. As many of you mentioned, I'm not a fan of a whole laundry list of extra ingredients in a formula. Bobbie does not have corn syrup or palm oil, which was also a concern that people were mentioning in my DMs. And these are sometimes linked to constipation, so that's a really good ingredient to look out for. Something really cool about Bobbie is that they are the only female-founded and mom-led formula company in the US. And when you think about who cares the most about what's in a formula, it's going to be other females and other moms. So something about that is really comforting for me. Their team is made up of scientists, doctors, and moms who have struggled with exclusively breastfeeding. So that's just really empowering to know and to just picture like a whole team of moms working on this formula together. Okay, so for my mamas that love the European style formulas, I know you're out there, this information is for you. And I've heard so much about this because I have a lot of Romanian friends who prefer to order their formula from overseas. They want that European style. European formula is generally illegal here in the US simply because it's not FDA regulated. So that doesn't mean that those formulas are bad or there's anything wrong with it. It's just that they're not regulated. So by having them shipped here in the US, you are taking a risk by purchasing them from black market sites because you don't know exactly how it's being shipped. What temperature are they at? What's happening to the products along the way? Are there recalls going on that product that maybe you just haven't even heard of? Those are just examples of maybe some different risks or concerns that I would personally have, but clearly, you know, mothers here in the US are desperate for that quality in formula. The amazing thing about Bobbie is that it is the only European style formula manufactured and sold right here in the US. Their recipe is inspired by EU nutritional requirements for infant formula. Like the EU formulas, Bobbie uses lactose as the only source of carbohydrates. It is organic and non-GMO and meets the EU standards for DHA and iron. If you don't know what DHA is, it is the nutrient that has been shown to support brain and eye development in babies. Bobbie includes enough DHA to meet the EU standard. They are also the only infant formula made with grass-fed milk from pasture-raised cows from the Organic Valley Farms. So if you know the red milk that many of us are buying for our children over the age of 1. It's super cool to know they're using the same cows from these farms. So if you are after that European style formula, Bobbie has that, plus they are FDA regulated. Okay, it is easy on tummies. We need to talk about something called Whey to Casein ratio. Bobbie has a 60-40 Whey to Casein ratio and makes the formula more easy to digest. This particular ratio is what you'll find in mature breast milk. Cow's milk has a 20-80 whey to casein ratio, so they add extra whey protein to make it easier on baby's tummy. So if you told me that you're interested in formula being modeled after breast milk, this in ratio is super important to you then. Also, in terms of safety, Bobbie undergoes more than 2,000 quality checks to ensure the ingredients, processing, and finished product are safe and nutritious for babies. They're also very transparent with their traceability. So if you look on the bottom of your can, there is a 7-character alphanumeric code printed there, and you can basically see when your product was packaged, its expiration date, and the quality test results. Okay, now let's talk about Similac, which of course is also FDA regulated, and it has been around for about 90 years. So they are actually manufactured by Abbott, and they make many different types of baby formula, which are available in retail stores across America and by reoccurring subscription. So as far as Similac products go, their main routine formulas are Similac Advance, Similac Pro Advance, and Similac 360 Total Care. So how do these staple formulas compare to Bobbie? Bobbie and Similac routine formulas are all lactose-based, iron fortified, and contain DHA and ARA. Going back to that whey to casein ratio, Bobbie has a 60-40 ratio, which is similar to breast milk. The Similac routine formulas compared here have 48 to 52 ratios. Keep in mind, Similac does have a routine organic formula, which isn't included on this chart. But that 60-40 ratio that Bobbie has is what makes Bobbie easy on tummies. So that's a huge difference there. Also, the Bobbie formula is organic. The Similac routine formulas are not organic. Also, Bobbie has the Clean Label Project Purity Award and pesticide-free certification. In 2020, the FDA announced a warning that prompted a voluntary baby formula recall of certain Similac formulas. So make sure you speak to your own healthcare provider to see if your formula may have been affected. Okay, so the last thing I really want to discuss is pricing, because if you know me and you follow along, you know that our family is very conscious of how we're spending our money, and when it comes to organic formulas, pricing is obviously higher. I asked y'all on Instagram if you are willing to spend more money on organic clean ingredients, and 77% of you said yes, 33% said no. Most people are willing to spend that extra money, but I do think there is a small population that maybe just aren't able to afford it. I do want to mention the government program WIC, stands for Women, Infants, and Children. They provide assistance for low-income mothers with young children, including those who are formula fed. Personally, when it comes to organic ingredients for my infant, I am willing to spend that extra money. As someone in my DMs put it, actually, I really liked what they said. They said, the way I think of it, it is just 1 year. 1 year of their life, I'm willing to spend a little bit of extra money, and then they turn 1 and they move on to, you know, cow's milk or whatever you choose to give them. As for me, I have breastfed them most of their first year of life. I just started to supplement around 6 months. So obviously that's helping you save a little money. So it's probably why I feel like I'm willing to spend that extra money, because I'm also still breastfeeding. Okay, clearly I have learned a lot about baby formula, Bobbie versus Similac. Ultimately, I would recommend Bobbie over Similac. If you want to consider trying out Bobbie, they have a great trial offer right now. It's a startup bundle. I will link it below. It's basically 2 cans. It's good for about 2 weeks for exclusively formula-fed babies. So that's babies consuming about 32 fluid ounces per day. And if Bobbie works for you, you can subscribe and get it delivered directly to your doorstep every month. If not, again, there are other great options for formula out there for you. I just hope that this information was helpful to you in deciding what to look for in a formula, especially for new moms, because I know it could be very overwhelming figuring out what do you actually need to care about when it comes to baby formula. Thank you for your time, and huge thanks to Bobbie for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you in the next one.